Good evening, everyone. Welcome to this meeting of the Raleigh City Council, another virtual meeting. We are going to start with public comment this evening. And I'm going to remind everybody the rules of decorum. Please be kind. I know that's hard for some people, but that's the expectation that we have. The other thing is you will all be granted 3 minutes to speak. Please look at the timer and kind of keep time on that because I hate telling people your time is up. So having said that, we're going to start with Christina Jones.
Hi, Christina Jones, 8005 Finland Drive, District E. Good evening. It has been 1 year since this council dismantled citizens advisory councils with no replacement. I fully understand that you made your decision and we have to move on. But what are we moving on to? It's hard to jump on the bandwagon with you when you've spent the last year avoiding the conversation. I continue to invite you all to our individual CAC meetings as well as our RCAC meetings to further explain what your vision is for citizen engagement. And as we continue to learn what Mr. Fern's ideas are for the next generation of citizen engagement, we realize that the vacuum you created needs to be filled now, not in 6 months. For this reason, our CAC will continue to focus on the education of city government. Last month, I discussed accountability and how important it is to recognize mistakes in an effort to correct them. In that vein, I have spent the last few weeks brainstorming how we can become a better organization. Our January RCAC meeting, along with the Chief of Staff of Raleigh, centered around educating residents about the structure of Raleigh's government. I have a request in for city staff to attend all of our 2021 meetings from every department that serves the city of Raleigh. This will be a starting place for us to help educate more Raleigh residents on what it is our government does for us. I anxiously await confirmation from the Chief of Staff and ask for your assistance in that effort. I will keep you updated as I continue to join you every public comment section for an RCAC update. We have 3 requests from Council for the month of February. 1, if there was a job description for your position, what would you include in it to reflect the complexities of your job? 2, what stakeholders do you currently engage with outside of the appointed boards and commissions? And 3, how do you quantify the appropriate amount of citizen engagement? I understand that this list can lead to very long answers, but if you're interested in reaching out to me directly to review, my email is COLL_CHRISTINA@yahoo.com. Lastly, I would like to remind everyone, including current council, that RCAC will be holding our February meeting on February 17th, 2021 at 7 p.m. Please find us on Facebook for our Zoom link. All are encouraged to attend as we will be meeting with 3 candidates for the upcoming municipal election on October 5th, 2021. If any current council members seeking re-election would like to speak, please feel free to reach out to me and I will add you to the agenda. Thank you and have a great evening.
Thank you. Next we have Richard Johnson.
Richard Johnson, 3225 Oak Grove Circle. At the January 19th meeting of council, a local resident presented accurate facts, statistics, and quotes made by Councilor Nicole Stewart, including her infamous desire to right-size voices she did not want to hear. Councilor Stewart responded to these facts by smirking, rolling her eyes, shaking her head no in an exaggerated manner, and mouthing words that I assume were nana nana boo boo. Anyone can watch her performance by going to the City of Raleigh website. It was an immature display of Trump-style buffoonery. It certainly broke City Council's code of conduct that Mayor Baldwin repeatedly cites against those who disagree with her. Councilor Stewart frequently mentions her 2 school-age children when campaigning and during council meetings. What kind of example is she setting for them? Is this the way she teaches them to act whenever they hear facts they don't like? Just attack the messenger, smirk, roll your eyes, shake your head no and mouth nana nana boo boo. Councilor Stewart, you owe Mr. Niles an apology for your behavior. Not to be outdone, Mayor Baldwin showed an appalling level of ignorance about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and the Martin Luther King Day holiday when she also attacked Mr. Niles for telling the truth. Dr. King's life work was speaking truth to power, and that was exactly what Mr. Niles was doing on January 19th. Mayor Baldwin has a history of making mean-spirited, snide remarks to anyone who speaks out with a different point of view than hers. In fact, she just did it at the start of this meeting. Where is the kindness from her that she demands from others? Is this how she acts at work for Barnhill Contracting? In the cushy job they installed her in shortly after they got another big contract from the city, multi-millions. Barnhill should sign up Mayor Baldwin for diversity and anger management training. Mayor Baldwin, you owe an apology to Mr. Niles, the citizens of Raleigh, and most importantly, the family and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Next, we have Donna Bailey.
And Rosemont. I wanted to bring up a few weeks ago at one of the rezoning meetings, Mayor Baldwin was commenting and praising one of the developers who had reached out to the community and got a consensus. Well, actually that developer came to our CAC meeting and we worked with the developer and came up with, that is what CACs do. But as you may recall, the mayor and councilors planned in secret and voted with no citizen input and no public notice. If you remember, that was not on the agenda, to defund all the CACs. So on one hand, she's praising the developers for great citizen engagement, but all they did was come to a CAC meeting, which we still have. Unfortunately, many of the CACs are not still meeting. Just to give a brief overview, they were started in 1974 by Raleigh's first and only African-American mayor, Clarence Leitner, in an effort to give Black Raleigh citizens a stronger voice that the CACs were started. Defunding the CACs took away the voices that this council says it values. Only 2 of the CACs in Black Raleigh are still meeting. The rest have fallen away without the support of the city. What has happened to all the other CACs and to the voices of their residents? As you know, I believe this was a huge mistake to remove a good avenue for citizen voices, but it is not for us to judge what was in the hearts of mayor and councilors 1 year ago today when they voted to suppress the Black voices. But your act of claiming white privilege as the excuse for your actions is reprehensible and calls out for an abject apology for your white privilege blindness, not only to the Black community voices you suppress, but to all CAC volunteers whose voices you suppressed almost a year ago and have yet to atone for in any way, shape, or form. I do hope you will be planning an apology so we can begin to rebuild trust with a renewed commitment to anti-racism, equity, and empowering authentic grassroots community engagement in Raleigh. Thank you.
Next, we have Ross McLaren.
Hi, my name is Ross McLaren. I'm the president of our HOA, Carriages Townhomes in North Raleigh. This is a request for the City of Raleigh to formally consider adopting the current private roads located within our community. We've had some meetings with some of the engineers and we understand what's involved. We We know we need some repairs to our roads, and we have the funds to do so. So we're asking that this project be formally chartered so that the teams can go and look at this a little bit further and see if we can make this happen. That's all. Thank you.
City Manager, could we have staff follow up with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Councilor Buffkin?
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say to Mr. McLaren, I spoke with another member of the neighborhood, and staff is, of course, working on it. They've already met with some folks out there, and I'm willing to help you out and look forward to working with on it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Stephanie Brown.
Mayor, I was unable to get Stephanie Brown on the phone.
Okay. Next, we have Calla Wright.
Mayor, Calla Wright emailed earlier today and withdrew from public comment this evening.
Okay. Next, we have Catherine Jones. We actually have 1, 2, 3, 4 speakers who want to talk about tiny homes. So those are the next 4 speakers. We'll start with Catherine.
Hi, thank you. So my name is Catherine Jones. I live at 12217 Chastain Drive. We are here tonight representing Tiny Living North Carolina. Our organization was excited to hear that the mayor and council expressed interest in making it easier to live tiny here in Raleigh. We are speaking tonight to say thank you and to let you know that we feel strongly that the next best step to take is to legalize tiny homes on wheels as ADUs and within tiny villages. As I mentioned, I'm a resident of Raleigh. I have been since I was born. This is my hometown. I call it a town because when I was a child, that's what it felt like to me. I remember the St. Patrick's Day parades, being given so much candy by the volunteers as they walked by, it felt like Halloween. The Pioneer Days program at the History Museum, making wax candles and writing with ink. I grew up being able to walk to Optimus Pool in a house my parents sold in 2001 for $143,000. Last year, that house sold for $351,000. It's not even 1,600 square feet. My husband and I pursued buying a home, but with student loans and car payments, the bank wouldn't finance very much. So, with few affordable housing options, we began building our tiny house ourselves just over a year ago. It's in Johnston County, though, because we couldn't figure out how to live in Raleigh. We hoped that with it being a tiny home on wheels, that we would have more placement options for parking when we had the opportunity to move back to my hometown. However, so far, that hasn't been the case. I spent nearly my entire life living here in Raleigh. I've watched it grow, change, and embrace a number of new things with positive results, typically, that always come around. I'm hoping that since I've embraced this town my whole life, and I've lived here nearly my whole life, that Raleigh will in turn embrace me and my growing family. Please let me and my tiny house on wheels move here. Help us do this the right way, the legal way. That's all.
Thank you, Catherine. Next, we have Peter. Peter, I apologize in advance. Chakcha?
It's Peter Hahai. Thank you.
Oh man,
Peter
that was
Hahai.
really off. I apologize, Peter.
No worries. All my life. Peter Hahai, 1017 Mangum Street, Wake County. Thank you for the opportunity to speak, by the way. We are here tonight representing Tiny Living North Carolina. Our organization was excited to hear the mayor and council again express interest in making it easier to live tiny in Raleigh. We are speaking tonight to say thank you and let you know that we feel strongly that the next best step to take to legalize tiny houses on wheels or movable tiny houses as ADUs and within tiny villages. I have lived in a tiny house on wheels, also known as a movable tiny house, with my wife for 3 years. We are now mortgage free and have energy bills 1/4 of what they were previously. Prior to that, I was a resident of Raleigh for 10 years, but was unfortunately forced out because of my decision to live in an energy efficient, intentionally sized dwelling with flexibility in mind. I set out to live in this house and started building on a residential lot in Northeast Raleigh. I reached out to the building department and spoke to numerous inspectors and was not able to proceed with the Raleigh Building Department. Due to a zoning ordinance, I was kicked out of Raleigh mid-build, but politely was given 30 days to prepare to move. After finishing, we made further attempts to be in the city we love with no luck. This is a great time to get this going, but not the first time mayor and council thought this was worth a look. In 2017, when council member Baldwin said she believes tiny houses would be a great alternative to help address affordable housing in the city, which prompted me to email the city to help city staff with no response. The solutions are not very challenging. Reducing lot size minimums, allowing flag lots, allowing movable tiny homes as ADUs, and a few more changes will provide so much more affordable housing in a growing city. Let's get this done. I will not give up on Raleigh. Please don't give up on me. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Next, we have Mary Galugli.
Yes, hello. Thank you so much. So I wanted to just start with our kind of group
Mary,
organization.
could you give your address, please?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yes. My name's Mary, and I'm at 2600 and a half Wade Avenue. So yeah, I wanted to basically just kind of start off with our kind of our group motto. We're all here together. So there's 4 of us representing the group tonight, and our organization was really excited to hear mayor and council express interest in making it easier to live here in live tiny in Raleigh. Peter and I had meetings with Nicole and with Patrick, and this was sometimes even prior to you guys with your new roles, and it was just so exciting to be able to reach out, talk to people, and actually felt cared about. I've never voted, I've never cared about local politics, and I can't tell you my excitement when all of the old heads were quickly conceded and you guys came forward. So I have so much hope, and I'm really excited to work with you guys on legalizing tiny homes on wheels and movable tiny homes. What we're going to do with our group is we're going to bring a lot of true stories of people that are living tiny now and wanting to live tiny, and why this varies on so many demographics across so many situations and how this helps them. We have 1,700 members and counting in just a year asking how do we make this legal? Where do we make this legal? I can't afford housing. We want to work with you guys. We want to give you our resources. We've done a lot of work in the past year, and we really cannot wait to show you guys what we've done and work side with you. It's going to be mutually beneficial to you guys. It's going to, not only just tackle the affordable housing problem, but also the lack of housing. And that's just one thing. You can walk away from your terms, in office, if nothing else, saying, I gave dignified living to single mothers, college grads with loads of debt, even elderly who just want to spend their final days with their children in their backyard. All this is going to be possible with movable tiny homes and tiny homes on wheels. And we want to be with you guys. We want to make this happen, like cities like Wilmington, Asheville, There's also other cities that they're doing. Durham, even Durham have done it, and they are progressive. I want to continue to brag about this council that I was so excited to vote for the first time, about the change, about the progressiveness, the positivity. And we want to work with you to make that happen. We're not just going to leave you and say, hey, make it legal. We're going to do this with you guys. So
Thank you, Mary.
so much. Okay, thank you.
3 minutes are up. Thank you so much. Next, we have Jen Truman.
Good evening, y'all. Jen Truman here, 1928 Sierra Drive. Good to talk to you and to have another chance to speak up loudly in support of housing and affordable housing, missing middle housing. You know, you guys have heard this from me a lot, but I'm happy to speak alongside my friends from Tiny Living NC tonight. We were really excited to hear Mayor and Council continue to express interest in living tiny and reaffirm that at the beginning of the year this year. Thank you, Mayor. We really want to speak tonight because we feel that the next best step is to legalize tiny homes on wheels. That would be both as ADUs and in tiny villages. Over the past year, y'all have taken important steps forward, and we thank you for those. We've made it easier to build ADUs by removing the onerous overlay. You've provided density incentives through the cottage court development. And simultaneously, North Carolina has made changes to the building code, and actions by the Code Council and General Assembly have made tiny homes on foundations on their own lots and as ADUs simpler and more legal to build all across our state. Those are all great things, but there are still challenges. Minimum lot sizes, the cost of utility connections, the cost and number of inspections, parking requirements, those all still drive up the cost and impact the availability of small and tiny homes. Staff is probably going to tell you all of that, but we wanted to come and speak tonight because we think there's another simple step, and that's to legalize tiny homes on wheels, movable tiny homes, or as we fondly call them, those, THOW. Tiny homes on wheels allow for additional housing on smaller budgets. Our group is honestly full of though owners simply looking for a place to park. Right now, they can't do that in Raleigh. So let me just use myself as an example of the impact of what it would mean to legalize those. It'll take me a couple more years before I can save up enough money to qualify for a loan to build the ADU I've told you many times I want to build in my own backyard. But if those were legal, I could invite any one of these friends to park in my backyard tomorrow. We could have that on any open lot or parking lot where we could invite those and create quick, simple, affordable housing, tiny villages, great places with dignity for people to live. So we've been working with experts about tiny living from around the country and around the state where they've been able to enact ordinances for tiny homes on wheels. And we think that would make the biggest difference. So we'd love to be part of the conversation. As Mary said, this is not just a one-time demand. This is something we want to bring forward to you guys as a discussion and provide resources and expertise that we have friends from around the country and state that are working with, and to help take this next step to make Raleigh more tiny friendly. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, Jen. City Manager, could we have staff look at this issue and kind of tell us a little more about what other communities are doing, pros and cons, and just learning more. What we've currently asked is for staff to come to us with a plan for a tiny home pilot community village, looking at two different options or maybe both. One, something on city-owned land, the other something that a developer brings forward to us that we could look at ways where we could be more, how can we say this, friendly. So if they could also look at this issue, I know somebody mentioned flag lots, obviously minimum lot sizes and parking requirements, but would like to know more about the pros and cons.
Absolutely, Mayor, we will.
Okay, thank you. And finally, we have Doug Johnson.
Hello, can everyone hear me?
Talk about Dix Park.
How did you guess? This is Doug Johnston, 120 Forest Road. And my purpose is really to give some catalytic effect, if that's possible, to a group that's already totally energized. So I'm doing a quick summary tonight of where I hope most of you have had a chance to read some of the material I have, and then I'll be sending 2 other items tomorrow, which will put us in place for thinking about how much more we can do to give another shot in the arm to our efforts with Dix Park. And that sounds strange because right now the efforts are superlative. I mean, at every level. Next slide, please. This is a favorite quote of mine from Frederick Law Olmsted. And I'm suggesting a new range of what we see Dix Park is. Next slide, please. And that's the edges. The edges including the Fuller Heights, which is on the way in superlative fashion. Next slide, please. This may not be what Dix Park becomes, but if we're doing a moonshot, and I'm still a big fan of that idea, it could be something like this. Next slide, please. We have to remember the park is not the thing itself, but everything around it. The immediate frontages are very important as an active and complex interchanging area. And then there's the zone of park, what I call park actuated growth, which is where the excitement that brings the park into the rest of the city begins. Next slide, please. You're familiar with these two because they're both examples, and I will be sending an explanation of this curious combination of slides in the next week or two. I think you might enjoy it. Next slide, please. When everything works together, that's when you have a complete park. And that includes all of these other features that are really park assets. Next slide. Dix Park, most people think is 306 acres. It's actually more than 1,500 acres when you include the greenways and adjacent parks and areas that could be part of the park. Next slide, please. Michael Van Valkenburg and Matt Urbanski have a talent we are really fortunate to have, and the wisdom of selecting that caliber should never go unnoticed. This is the sense that our park will be much more than the 306 acres. Next slide, please. There are parts of Centennial Campus, and we have the rezoning coming up for a planned development, which will give us a chance to think very seriously about their contribution. Then there's Boylan Heights, Governor Moorhead School, and these are just the beginning. Next slide, please.
Mr. Johnston, I'm sorry to interrupt. Could somebody please tell me what the time is on this?
I think it's up.
Because I can't see the timer.
I don't see it either.
Okay.
But that's all I have. Just take a look at what I've sent. I hope this will bring you up to date, and I'm excited about going forward with the friends I've made and city staff and council and everything else. Bye now.
Thank you, Ms. Johnston. Really appreciate you being here. Okay, now we're going to start the public hearing portion of our meeting.